How's things going?
Pretty good.
Huh? So I mean,
Yeah,
getting ready for the release now.
yeah, yeah. Just sat at home. Uh, yeah, just kind of after a fairly busy weekend. Had a show on the Isle of Wight and did this mad little gig with Dom Jolly
Yeah.
on Thursday night as well. So yeah, just back into family life. 4 year old and 4 month year old
All
world.
right. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. I don't know how you can be so prolific. I mean, I've got my kids are a little bit more grown up now, but I've got a guitar, and it's just it takes me so much to kind of find a moment to sit down and just kind of sit down and play the guitar. So I don't know how you managed to be as prolific as you are just recently, both with Starsailor and yourself as a solo artist.
Yeah, I think you just have to be a lot more. I would spend a lot of time previously kind of pottering about and like you say, sort of picking up the guitar and putting it down again, maybe having half an idea. Whereas now I just have to be a lot more productive with my time. Like
Yeah.
I've got those hours between sort of I guess 9 and 2:30 when Cherry needs
Yeah.
picked up from school to get as much done as I can. When, like I say, when I'm not kind of um, taking Jessie, the little one, sort of off my girlfriend's hands as well. It's definitely can be quite hard, and
Yeah. I mean,
also when I'm away so much as well, um, doing shows which are obviously essential to kind of
sure.
put money in the bank and sort of bread on the table, so to speak, it does get more difficult to be like, listen, I'm going to have to go off and do. I'm just
Yeah.
going to go and potter about on these songs for a bit. It's like, yeah,
But are your kids? I mean, I don't like to ask you too many questions about your family, but are your kids very kind of aware that you are this prolific songwriter who goes around playing in a band and as a solo artist as well?
well, I've got older kids as well,
All right.
and they're obviously it's like 17 and 23, so they're kind of well aware of what I do and
Yeah.
take the piss and are
I was going to
proud.
say, I was going to say, are they proud of they take the piss? I was going to ask you the
a
same
bit
question.
a bit a bit of both, I think. And the 4 year old is starting to get it now as well.
Right.
It was quite funny because she had a friend round yesterday, and her friend said, "Oh, I hear you're in a band. Um, why are you not doing it now?"
Right.
And she meant at that precise moment, like
All
it's
right.
yeah, like it's something you do kind of 24 hours a day.
You
It's like,
can't be at
well,
home at all.
where are they now then? What are you It's Sunday.
So I mean, but I mean, that kind of brings me to my first question I want to ask you a little bit about because I was reading that when you were in talking about old Star Sailor songs, a lot of them were kind of rooted in being kind of the center of your own world. Whereas I imagine
Yeah.
kind of this one definitely feels more so than the previous solo albums as well. Feels kind of more outlooking. And I'm guessing kind of being a father I mean, I know you've got older kids, but have being a father to young kids once again, that must have kind of really kind of had you look at the world in a different way again, no, for this album.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I guess as well when you get sort of there's a lot of um inspiration in kind of being unsettled or being in anguish and things like that. So when you get kind of settled in your love life and your family life, you do have to be more. It's like Paul McCartney is a great example. He's still able to write some incredible songs about just being in love with his
Yeah.
with Linda. But in terms of trying to write a whole album, it's quite difficult to. It gets more difficult to kind of just solely rely on your own personal
Mhm.
experiences when they are that bit more harmonious.
Mhm.
So you do tend to kind of, and I guess maybe subconsciously as well, you do sort of look outwardly, but also start to look at the world that you kind of bringing your kids into and bringing them up into as well.
No. I mean, across this album, it's like you said, this it's not a mix of personal reflection. It's also kind of photography, locations, literature as well. There's a memoir in there, which is quite horrific. The memoir, I've not read
Yeah.
it, but I imagine that's quite a horrific thing. I'm quite curious how you decided what kind of mediums or what moments or what personal things to include in this album, because it's quite an eclectic mix of different kind of uh, inspirations.
Um, I guess just yeah, just what kind of inspired me, and what sort of lent itself the best to writing a song. Like sometimes I could be inspired by a film or a photograph or a book or whatever, and just not be able to, um, in spite of being so moved by something, just not quite be able to write a song around it. So this was
Hmm.
the things that I did end up utilizing were things that, I guess sort of left the door open to, putting your own perspective on things and um, yeah, just what. And I suppose that things like the Firefly Moments song, which was about this, woman who was living with a husband who had dementia. I guess it's such a kind of um, universal subject, and also we all have loved ones, and we can all try to imagine. It's hard to sort of put yourself in that person's place, but at
Hmm.
least try to imagine what it must be like to yeah to have to watch someone who's such a sort of confidant and who, knows everything about you kind of gradually lose their grip, um, but still have these weird moments of lucidity and competence where they're almost sort of back in the room.
Hmm. I mean, talking 555. I spotted you. You just, I don't know if you just did it now, but you just released it on Instagram. An acoustic version of it on Instagram, which is fantastic. I'm quite curious
Cheers.
about that was specifically influenced by Abby Morgan's. I mentioned before the memoir, Abby Morgan's "This Is Not a Pity." I'm quite
Yeah.
curious. Kind of, it explores loss and the impulse to overshare with strangers after a personal tragedy. So I'm quite curious if you used a lot of this album. Maybe it's kind of this way that you can tell cathartic stories to kind of get things off your shoulders as well, off your chest, that maybe you wouldn't have been able to say
Um,
otherwise.
yeah, I guess so. I think um, I think art as a maybe not so much things that have maybe happened to me or, I needed to get off my chest so much as my opinion on the kind of state of the world and things that are happening.
Hmm.
I find art can be a much gentler sort of medium to get that across rather than sort of shouting from a soapbox or on social media or
Yeah.
anything like that. And particularly if you're telling someone's story, then that's, um, like I was obviously moved by what happened to Rachel Corrie and how her family have carried on her legacy, and, to kind of bang that drum on social media can be quite, um, you get a lot of backlash and a lot of
Yeah, I know. A
misunderstanding
lot of
on
people, a
kind
lot
of
of people, especially when like on social media, when they try to kind of support or they kind of go on about something that they really
yeah
feel strongly for, they kind of feel the other people kind of feel that you're trying to reach for attention yourself rather than supporting this person.
yeah
Yeah.
and I feel like just writing about stuff and just in an almost a, obviously Bob Dylan was the king of it. It's just just saying that this is a story. This is this family's perspective. Um, I'm not kind of telling you to think one way or another, but it deserves to be heard, kind of thing.
Yeah. Going back to earlier when you mentioned that you like to be able to write love stories, like Paul McCartney was able to write love stories well into his 60s, 70s. I mean, it's great that you can write love stories, but is it also, do you find it hard to sing love stories mainly because, I mean, when I was a kid, I used to think like the Rolling Stones singing love songs was just
Mm.
kind of, it was something that they shouldn't do. Was that something that you find yourself second guessing maybe the lyrics to kind of, to make sure that it doesn't feel kind of like an old person speaking about being a teenager again?
Um,
Not that your songs do. I'm just saying that
yeah,
that's something
yeah.
that I can imagine that you don't want to kind of come over as this old guy who's singing about the old times when he was a 15, 16-year-old.
Um, yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think it's probably something that I've got less and less kind of self-conscious about. I think definitely a few years ago, it would have been, I would have tried to avoid kind of talking about love in a very direct way and tried to
Yeah,
kind of hide it as much as possible. Whereas now I feel a bit more confident just to say, well, um, essentially, if the song is good enough, it's like, I suppose that's the thing. Is like if you write in a love song, because there's so many amazing sort of classic love songs, you sort of, the bar is set so high. Whereas if you find a new thing to write about, then sometimes the lyric can draw people in because they think, oh, I've not heard this perspective before. I've not heard this story before.
mm,
Um, so I guess the actual music and the melody has less. It still has to be good, obviously, but it
sure.
maybe it has less weight to pull, or if I don't know if that's the right phrase, but do you know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. One of my favorite tracks on the album, and they're all great, but one of them I particularly love is Tea and Sympathy, which is towards the end. It felt like it sounds really big as it is, but it sounded like it could have been a really massive song. Maybe kind of, I could imagine Starsailor playing it with the drums and a really heavier kind of
Hmm.
anthemic thing going on there. But was it always going to be a song for you to sing solo, or was this or how do you kind of juggle which songs you like to write for kind of Starsailor, or for a band, or just kind of for you for yourself?
Um, I think that's one of the songs where I kind of, I guess it sounds a bit fuller because I programmed a drum beat and
Oh
wrote to it
yeah.
to a drum beat, so which is something I don't normally do. Um, but I didn't.
I think it's one of the few. I think there's only two kind of electric guitars on the album as well. Now that's one of them. I think no.
Yeah, yeah. But I didn't have any. It wasn't sort of written for Star Sailor initially or anything. It was
Yeah.
always kind of cited for this album.
But
Um,
how do you kind of I mean, because I don't know if you are actually sat down with Star Sailor to write things for a follow up album, because I know that you wrote the last album was in 24. Is that something that you're working on, or do you kind of always find yourself thinking of songs for yourself and maybe Star Sailor at the same time?
um, I've kind of got that hat on again slightly because obviously this solo album is ready to come out. Um, we have thoughts have sort of turned towards um, a new Star Sailor album. So the ideas that I'm kind of coming up with, I have to have sort of half a half a mind on, like these, at least the majority of them
Yeah.
need to have room for bass and drums and keyboards and things like that.
Uh,
But it's quite exciting as well, obviously, to um, I guess making a solo album is more and less work at the same time.
yeah.
Where um, sort of writing with the band in mind, I can kind of have an idea and leave room for them to for the rest of them to give their input and to help kind of decide the direction of a song.
Hmm.
But then it can take longer then because it's trying to get everyone on the same page and everyone's sort of satisfied with where every song's going.
Uh-huh.
Um, Whereas obviously when I do it myself, I have to make all those decisions myself. But then
Uh-huh.
once they're in place, then there's no kind of. I'm not someone who goes over songs or revisits songs too often. I just
Oh,
think, well, that's if I've got to a point where I'm happy with it, I'm not going to over analyze it. And
uh-huh.
if I do listen to a song, like you say, if you listen to Tea and Sympathy and think, oh, maybe it could have a sort of fuller arrangement, then I'll kind of bear that in mind and maybe start from that point, maybe that tempo or something, and just write something new with a sort of more fuller arrangement in mind.
Uh-huh. I mean, going back to that, I mean, you said that you don't like to kind of chew on things that you've done already, and you don't like to maybe ask for opinions. Maybe I don't know. How do you? I mean, you wrote, produced, and performed the whole album. This one, so I'm quite curious how
Hmm.
kind of the solitude of that whole process affected the way that you kind of wrote the songs, because it must be you must find yourself second guessing the songs when you've written them, especially when you're on your own or when I'm writing articles or writing whatever. I always kind of show someone because I need something
Hmm.
to kind of make me feel a bit more secure about what I've done. So how do you go about writing, producing, and performing an album and being kind of self assured at the same time? Is there one that kind of gives you reassurance?
Um, that's it. I do play a lot of stuff to Lita, my girlfriend, um, and I'll sort of write a surplus of songs, and if there are any that she doesn't kind of react to or doesn't like, then it makes it. Um, I'll always kind of revisit and see if she has a point.
Right.
Um, but if I still feel
Does she
strong,
usually have a point?
quite often, yeah, yeah. Um, but I suppose I just like I say, I just kind of write as many songs as I can, and then if I'm not feeling something or I don't think it's good enough, I'll kind of abandon it really and just
Yeah.
write something new rather than try and rework it.
Yeah, so you don't really rework stuff. You don't kind of keep stuff in the cupboard just in case. Maybe come up with something
Um,
later on. No.
Maybe occasionally, like sometimes I'll listen to if I've just written a song, I'll kind of demo it, record it, listen to it a few times, and if something if within the first few listens I think, oh, that needs a middle eight, or that would sound a lot better with this chord, then I will sort of to sort of contradict myself slightly. I will tweak it, but I don't kind of obsess over things too
Uh-huh.
much.
Yeah, and then taking these onto the road. I know that you've got another couple of dates coming up in February. Um, will they be pretty much kind of similar versions, or do you like to kind of maybe innovate or improvise a little bit on the day? Will there be anything
Um,
that'll surprise people when they get the album? Will there be anything on this kind of the live circuit that'll surprise them?
Probably more stripped back, even more stripped back to be honest, because most of the gigs will just be me on my own with my little stomp box.
All right.
So you find new little melodies that not veering too far from the original, but maybe um, feel inspired to kind of, especially some of the songs that are maybe in a lower key. It can be it can work better when you're playing live to jump the octave or to play the song in a just play the song in a slightly higher key.
Uh-huh. And when you wrote the songs, but did you kind of envision them as you playing them in a live place, or was it more kind of you wanted to write the songs from just kind of to create the album, or were you also kind of envisioning how it would play out in a live set?
Um, yeah, I think so. I think definitely with a couple of them, you kind of immediately get an idea that yeah, this will go down well live, and you sort of definitely envisage it. And I think also because when there isn't the same media opportunities, like there is, obviously isn't Top of the Pops and
Yeah, no, yeah.
the
So you Classic Pop Mag. I saw you that you posted on Instagram. Classic Pop Mag is one of the few kind of magazines that you can
yeah,
get
yeah,
a review in now. Yeah,
yeah. So I think without that sort of ecosystem, so to speak, I think playing live is the primary way that you are showcasing an album and trying to get people on board with it. So I think um, it becomes more and more important that you can sort of transfer most of the songs to a live setting, whereas maybe before, when there was more kind of radio opportunities or
yeah,
magazines and things like that, or music videos as well were
yeah.
a big thing of what attracted people to an album. Without those, then yeah, it does become more important to make an album that can be transferred to the live setting.
Brilliant. Well, just before I let you go, then obviously you've got this album coming out, but you've also got. I know you've already done a few dates, but you've got the 25th anniversary of Love Is Here. You've got a whole lot of dates coming along more towards the back end of the year. How did the first few gigs go with the live orchestra and everything?
Fantastic. We just did the we did the Tongue Hall in Liverpool, probably getting on for like this time last year. Um, so it will be a slightly more daunting undertaking to kind of take that show
Yeah.
to kind of 5 or 6 venues. But we've got a lot of faith in Joe Duddle. He's done it numerous times before, and he's done some amazing arrangements. So it's just yeah, I think when you get older as well as an artist, and your audience gets older, they find that kind of sitting in a comfy chair,
Yeah.
listening to a string orchestra is a lot more attractive.
That's a cup of tea. Yeah.
So it was a nice cup of tea. Yeah, it was a more attractive proposition to jumping up and down
Uh-huh.
to kind of loud guitars. Although we still kind of do the odd gig like that as well. So it's nice to have both options.
Brilliant. Well, I wish you best of luck with the album when it comes out the end of the month. I've loved it to bits. Honestly, I was listening to it this morning quite a few
Oh,
times, and
thank you,
it's really really good, really growing on me. So I wish you the best of luck with that, and I wish you the best of luck with the Love Is Here tour, and hopefully speak to you again sometime soon.
thank you very much.
All right, James. Take care. All the very
Speak to you
best.
soon.
All the very
Nice
best.
one.
Cheers then. Bye
Cheers.
now.
You too. Bye.